Hi, this is Mrs. Wagner. This is week 6 of our homebound for Algebra 1B Algebra Plus learners. I hope you guys are doing really well. I just wanted to say that, I'm really been bored, so I created this pencil that had an eraser on both ends. Then I realized it was pointless. Yeah, it was pointless. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about stem and leaf plots. So taking a look at stem and leaf plots, you have something called a stem. Didn't really circle that very well. And then you have a leaf. So the stem is the first digit, the leaf is the second. Taking a look here, the minimum age would be 1 because it would be 0, 1. And the maximum age would be 66. I know on the worksheet I have the wrong thing because I have the wrong picture here, so I made it a little bit better. So it should actually be 66. The median age would be finding the middle. So how would you find the middle? Well, you could just cross off things and keep on crossing off until you get to the middle, and you'd find out that the middle is 28 because median means middle. The mode is whatever you have the most. So again, you would just start thinking, okay, so I have 2 1s, I have 2 7s, but then you'd say, aha, I have 4 4s, that's the most, and since it's 0, 4, the mode is the age of 4. So we're using the same terms we've been using, but just looking at different data displays. So I'm saying, next, can you please create a stem and leaf plot based on these numbers, and how would you do that? Well, you'd start putting them in order, but maybe all the 50s and then all the 60s and so forth, so that your stem would be the first digit. So it would be the 5 from the 56 is 56 and so forth. Okay, and that's how you would create a stem and leaf plot if you were to do it based on numbers. So let's try one. So if you have a stem and leaf plot like this, it wants to know the mode. Well, the mode is what you have the most of. So again, you would start to think, okay, I have 2 6s, I have 2 2s, but then you'd say, aha, I have 3 3s here. Well, then you'd say, well, that's 83, so the mode is 83. So for the range, you would look at the biggest number, which, oh, did I not put this on? Okay, which in this case is 99. And then 5 and 0 is the smallest, so the range would be 99 minus 50, which is 49. Going down to number 2, it wants to know the height in inches. I have really tall kids in this class, huh? So I don't know if it's inches, but it can't be, right? It's just something I got, problem I got off the internet, but I think it may be a little crazy with these numbers. So it wants to know what? The median. So how would you find the median? Median's the middle, guys, right? The middle. So what you would do is you would just start crossing things off. Actually, you want to cross the line off, but I just keep on crossing off until I got to the middle. But what you're going to find out is this is the middle and this is the middle because there's 10 different values. So if you have 2 middles, what do? You add them together and you divide by 2. So 77 plus 85 divided by 2 is 81. So 81 is the median. So there's no middle shown. I have to figure it out. So if you want to do more stem and leaf plots, go ahead and look at these links, which are nice. And then I'd like you to try to do a self-assessment by creating your own stem and leaf plots. Make up your own numbers. Create your own stem and leaf plots. And if you want to go crazy and do median and mode and all that stuff, that would be cool. So now we're going to look at line plots. So a line plot looks like this. So you have a line plot that says this is the number of pets that some kids have in a certain class. So this many kids have 1 pet, so that's 8 people have only 1 pet. And then this many people have 2 and so forth. So if we wanted to, we could do all this and list them all out like that, if we wanted to. We don't have to. To figure out the median, remember, all we have to do, since that's what it asks us for, is just keep on crossing out until we find the middle. And it looks like the middle is going to be 2. You might be able to just look at that and guess that it's 2. So the next one has something called a line graph, right? That's a line graph. and it wants to know the range. So range is looking at the smallest, which is the minimum, and the maximum, which is the largest. So the smallest was here in 2003, and the largest was here in 2007. So 14 was the largest, and 2 was the smallest, so all I have to do is subtract them to get 12. Taking a look at the next line plot, it wants to know, let's see what it wants to know. It wants to know the median. Okay, so the median is something that I do to find the middle. Again, this is just the middle. So if I'm looking for the middle, I can always go ahead and cross things off until I get to the middle. And when I get to the middle, it turns out that I have two numbers in the middle, 3 and 4. So since I have two numbers in the middle, I have to add those two numbers together and divide by 2 to get 3.5. So this one you need to try. So if you try this one out, you want to find the median of this. So it's actually not that hard, this one. You can just cross out until you find the middle, and then decide which one of these would be the middle of that. Okay? So I want you to try that on your own without me helping you. So I look at number 2. Number 2 is hard because it's not as easy as it was as when I first looked at it. So let me explain to you what I mean by that. So I'm going to try to do a little bit right over here. Okay, so when I take a look at this, I start out with 12, right? So I start out with 12. It wants to know a mean. So what does mean mean? What does mean mean? Okay, so mean is the average. So I start out with about 12. I'm just guessing here. And then for 2, it looks like I'm going up to, about, let's see what I have here, 18. So it's actually 18 minus 12. So really I only went up 6. Here's why. It says she added the number of books. She added the number of books sold to the previous day and then plotted. So that means she took those 6 books and added it 12 to get the 18. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. Took me a second look to figure it out. So that's where I got 6 from. So the next day, she only sold 4. Okay, the reason why she only sold 4 is because she only went up here, which is about 22. So she went to 22 minus 18. So the rest of the numbers, my papers are really sticking to my arm here. So 4, the next day she only sold 3. The next day she sold 4. The next day she sold 6. And the last day she sold 4. So again, I'm looking at what this number is here. So on 7, I'm looking that it was 39, but 39 minus 35 is only 4. So that's where I got all those numbers from. And then when I added them all together, I got, do I have what I have? Maybe I didn't even write it down. I'm sorry. So when I add it all together, I'm going to look at my Desmos calculator. It looks like I got 39. So I added them together and I got 39. So then I took 39 and then I'm going to tap over here and I said 39 and then I divided that by how many I had, which was 7, right? And I got around 6. So the answer is actually 6. All right, so it was a little confusing, so let me go back to Desmos. It's not letting me go back to Desmos. There it is. Okay, so 39 divided by 7. So you can see right there on the calculator. Okay, so I'm looking and we're about 9 minutes in, so I'm going to try to get through these circle graphs real quick because it cuts me off if I'm too long. So imagine that your friends went to the movie and they said 4 like comedies, 6 like romance. I don't know about that, but this is what it would look like, okay? You would say 4, 20%. So really, you would have to add the numbers that were up in the table. So how many people all together? So you would say 4 plus 6 is 10. 15, 16, so that's 20. Okay, so that was 20 people were asked what type of movie they like, right? So that's 20 people. So then if you do percentages, 4 out of 20 for comedy, where's comedy? 4 out of 20 is actually 20%, okay? 5 out of 20 for action over here. Let me get my little pencil here for action. Oh, wow. Okay, I don't know what I did there. Okay, thank you. There we go. So 5 out of 20 is 25%, and 6 out of 20 is 30%, and then 1 out of 20 is only 5% like drama, and sci-fi is 4 out of 20. Okay, so what type of movie did they like the most? Romance. Do you believe that? Okay. You can see that by the percentages. It's the highest percentages. What type of movie do they like the least? Looks like drama. How many more people like romance than they like drama? So you would just say 6 minus 1 is 5 to get that. So looking at the circle graph to the right, what's the total number of students that were surveyed? Okay, so you would look and you'd say what the numbers were. You would just add them together. So 4 plus 12 plus 10 plus 2 is 26. What percent got a B or higher? So you would add up the 42.9 plus the A's, because that's higher than a B, 14.3 to get this 57.2. Okay, so I want you to try this out. So a travel agent has given you this circle graph. The graph divides it into destinations that they want. So there's 500 people that were expected to answer this. Predict the number of clients that will choose Caribbean as their destination. So Caribbean is 38%. So 38% can be changed to 0.38. So all you have to do is multiply 0.38 by a number. What's the number, do you think? It's right here. So multiply 0.38 times 500, and that will give you your answer. And that's it, guys. So I hope you're doing great, and let me know if you need anything.